Hi, we're here. So this is the week one progress. It's for anyone who wants to scale this character. So this is a Glacial Hammer Berserker, and obviously I'm not going to probably push this anymore. I might invest a little, maybe play a bit, maybe a week more, but likely is I will probably have to play another build to be interested in the game, just because yeah, this build has kind of hit uh its logical conclusion. I don't think it will get stronger than this. So what is this build great for? It's great for mapping, especially mapping all kinds of varied content. There's a lot of things this build can do for you, in the sense that it can run a lot of mods. Uh, there are some mods that are a bit of a problem, but you can overcome them pretty easily. Uh, but yeah, and the other thing is that it's actually pretty great for sanctums. So I've already done a few full completion sanctums. I avoided them originally because I was like, it sounds like a shitty league. And then I played it, and I actually really enjoyed sanctums. I thought sanctums were really fun. I actually am looking forward to just keep playing sanctums. I'm not so much keen on the base game itself. I'm actually keen on the sanctums. So I'll probably be running this character on sanctums for a while. That being said, yeah, let's briefly go through how this build has been scaled. We can revisit a bit of the core mechanics of this build and what makes it work. Uh, I don't need to cover leveling, I think, because we're already at the point where there are multiple videos on it. So, as usual, you notice that some things haven't really changed. So there is still a Frost Breath, there is still a Heat Shiver, and there is still a Yoga Suffering. These things have not changed literally from day one. And the reason why is because you're not gonna find better uniques for these slots. And even if you were to try find better solutions for the problem, for these problems of weapon damage, of helm or for amulet, you're always going to pay an extra, like a ridiculous premium just to beat this performance. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not that these are like legit. If you're mirror tier gear, obviously you're gonna have better performance from mirror tier gear. But if you're looking at like price point efficiency, like pound per pound, these three items are going to stay with you always. You're never going to change them. Uh, then when it comes to the rings, you start with Thessalius, and then you start moving towards a Mark of the Elder, and then a Shaper ring. Okay, the reason why you go for Mark and Elder and Shaper ring, Mark of the Elder and Shaper ring, is because Mark of the Elder gives you 94% attack damage, especially if it's Catalyst. If your other ring is a Shaper item, it gives you 10% maximum life, which you don't get on the Thessalius. Thessalius has no defenses. You also get flat cold damage and flat fizz, which is what you need for Frost Breath, right? The double damage on that flat. So the maximum energy shield, maximum life is super good, and the technical whip on kill is kind of nice. So that's the reason why you go Mark of the Elder. The Shaper ring is just to enable the Mark of the Elder, right? Because you need a Shaper ring as stipulated here. And Shaper has this particular mod that is very good. It's called adds 24 to 45 cold damage against chilled or frozen enemies. Uh, Obviously, we are chilling and freezing enemies, and this is a huge amount of flat damage. It's kind of like a Thessalius, right? But Thessalius has a better effect than this. But it's similar to Thessalius. The difference is that for this ring, you have other slots that are available. You can go life on your prefixes. You can go another flat cold. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. I actually bought this really cheap, and I swapped it out because I can't find one that is equivalent in price. So this ring actually cost me like 40C. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I mean, if you know exactly what you're looking for and no one else is looking for the same gear, you're gonna be able to pick items off the market even if they're sitting there for like half a day, because no one else is playing this build, right? So at that time, this was 40C, and yeah, it's insane amount of dexterity, insane amount of dexterity is mostly for grace and poacher's mark, but yeah, I need the dexterity, I need the life, and the flat damage is cool. I slammed on the mana regeneration rate. I just exalted it because exalted cheap. And then the last craft was just res, right? Yeah. So yeah, you get the shape ring mostly just to enable the Mark of the Elder to get a 94% increased attack damage. Yeah. So other than Thessalios, you can run Mark of the Elder and uh, a Shaper ring. The other option you can run as well is this. Wait, do I have it? Yeah. So I haven't actually sold this. I don't think I will sell this, but what I was looking for at the time was I was looking for replacements for Thessalios. And Circle of Fear with good stats is actually equivalent to Thessalios. So if you want to replace Thessalios, look for Circle of Fear with Harrow Eyes with buff effect or Harrow Eyes with cold damage. So these cost me like 10 C each or something like that. The reason why I got these two as well is because at that time I really needed a lot of stats and I couldn't get them anywhere else. And this seemed like a very cheap way of getting that. So I sat with the Circle of Fear for a while, and then I moved to this eventually when I could make the stats up elsewhere, because this is definitely way more damage than these two. And Thessalius. Okay, when it comes to the chest armor slot, there are a lot of options really. Can you go a rare chest? You can definitely go a rare chest if you're running on the you have a budget. Yeah, a rare chest is always going to be cheaper. You're just gonna astral plate, good res and life, and that's all kind of you need. All you need really. The other option is if you want to go pure tankiness, you go brass dome. Although that's really expensive, brass dome like with good stats is like 7 divines right now with 6 link. And the reason why if you go why brass dome would be an option is that you can go brass dome, you can go unbreakable, right? So unbreakable is the ascendancy on Juggernaut. You can get it with forbidden jewels. And then with brass dome, you just basically get insane amount of armor. I think if I went brass dome and unbreakable on this build right here and I swap stuff out, I would definitely see some damage loss, maybe about 20% damage loss. But my armor just goes from like 80k to 150 or some shit like that. It basically doubles my armor. And then I'm crit immune. Of course, my life goes down because strength doesn't contribute to life, but I'm crit immune and I have like max res that can scale higher, right? So I'll have like 80 max res for all, and then I can just add max res nodes on the 3 like down here, and just go like maybe 84, 85 res, which is crazy, right? But in this case, I've gone for a low weave, and the reason why I've gone for a low weave is because opportunity cost, really. When I was looking for a chest, this low weave came up for 40C. And as you can tell, when I look at the stats, 40C is like exceptionally good for this. Because the all res, the all attribute roll is like super high, it's plus 21. The life roll is average, energy shield roll is average, the crit roll is average, but the elemental damage roll is high. The flat physical, which you're going to double with Frost Breath, is high as well. And the maximum resistance, which is the most important, is high. It's 78. So that's the kind of reason why I went with Law Weave. But if you really want to go other things, I can give you a I won't say give you a suggestion. Okay, I wouldn't suggest this, but you can actually go replica Law Weave, but prepare to die. It might be cheaper, but prepare to die. So that's why I went with Law Weave. I haven't actually changed it out because I honestly I feel no reason to do so. I think right now for me this is one of the most stat efficient items. If I were to remove this, I would have to deal with the attribute loss, which is a pain. I won't be immune to negative max res from map mods. Right now I can do like negative max res mods. It loses some crit, so I'm not gonna proc EO as much, and elemental overload, and the flat damage is crazy, and flat and elemental damage is crazy. So these two, flat damage and percentage elemental is like good, really good damage for me, and if I drop this, it's like not worth it. So that's the reason why I went low weave. So low weave, I think it's probably your best bet if you can find one with good rolls and one that is cheap. But you can always just go a rare, or if you want to go full defensive, you go Brasto. For gloves, honestly, Pain Seekers is going to be the gloves I would suggest. This is only because I found this for 40C. As I said, if you find items cheap, make the swap, right? It, you, you can always like you have to justify it this way, right? Because every slot on your gear, or every gear slot on your character costs currency, costs resources, right? And you always want your resources to uh, you want it to be manageable. You want to scale it up in a way that is affordable, so you get good progression. So in this case, I had Pain Seekers for a very long time, and Pain Seekers is like super good. I would suggest actually sticking to Pain Seekers because a glove like this is gonna be 5 to 10 divines minimum, right now. I got this for 40C, but I'm just telling you, if you were to find this yourself, it will be the 5 to 10 divines, right? It cost me 40C at the start. I still had to craft it, so I had to get the strike skills +2, and that itself was like, I don't know, three divines, two divines. So yeah, this is only better than this because this is multi-divine. This is like 10 divines. You can get this for one chaos. You literally get this for one chaos, right? And the reason why it's so good is mainly because uh, your non-damaging elements, as though dealing more damage, is going to apply to your freezes. So with this, look, I could cut my damage by by 2/3, right? I could go to a third of my damage and run these gloves, and I will have the same amount of freeze and shock as I do right now. That's why this is so strong, especially if you're not going crit. So let's say, for example, when you're first starting out and you're going resolute and you're not going like accuracy at all, this is amazing, right? For that reason. So always stick to Pain Seeker unless you can afford it and unless you're starting to scale like crazy. For belt, you're always gonna go for Chainsaw Emancipation. Look for a nice corruption because Energy Shield is like kind of garbage for you. A nice corruption would be Grace, Determination, Aura Effect, Hatred, Aura Effect. Uh, if okay, so in this case for me, Grace works because I have Iron Reflexes. If you don't have Iron Reflexes, please do not go Grace. Go Determination. Go Hatred. Okay. Uh, what else can you go for? Well, you can also go for attack speed, I think. When I think when there's a flask active. But yeah, or all resistance, like all elemental resistance if you really need it. But either way, you can probably just run the base ones, which is the Chains of Emancipation with like no corrupted implicit, and it will carry you. It's all you need, right? For shield, I'll show you exactly what I used before I transitioned to this petrified blood low life setup. And the reason being why I made that swap is because I wanted to squeeze in a fuck ton of auras. I also wanted Overleech because I was relying on Leech to recover my life, and I couldn't get Overleech in a very cheap way. So I decided, heck with this, I'm just going to get a Prism Guardian, and then I'm gonna go to setup. So previously, what I was using is I was using, I can't remember where it is. Eh. Oh yes, I don't know. I've not. This is not gonna sell, but so I bought this for cheap as well. This was like I think about 40 chaos, and basically gave me accuracy, life, chaos resistance, and physical damage reduction. So this was when I already transitioned out of Resolute Technique and I was just trying to get Elemental Overload. So you can't get Elemental Overload with Resolute Technique because you just don't crit, right? If you don't crit, you don't get that extra 40% damage or 40% more damage from Elemental Overload. So I had to start scaling away from start scaling for accuracy, and so I went accuracy on gloves, accuracy on shield, in order to hit that. Uh, in this case, if I went for accuracy on the suffix, chaos resistance. I actually had more chaos resistance before I swapped the Prison Guardian, but I still feel like it's not that painful for me, so I think that's fine. An additional physical damage reduction. Physical damage reduction is always going to be insane. Because if you have high armor, the physical damage reduction, the flat percentage reduction comes before. And so yeah, I think it does, whatever. But yeah, so this is always good. Like physical damage reduction, like percentage physical damage reduction is always gonna be super strong, on any character that has high armor. So that's why I went this. Eventually, I swapped to Archon Kaichu, Prism Guardian, and that was just to reserve life instead of mana, and then to make use of the did life here. Uh, yeah, because I'm using Petrified. And then boots, right? So last boots. Boots is pretty straightforward. It's just life, res, and movement speed. Nothing much. In the implicits, I actually haven't gotten action speed yet. I will probably get action speed. The thing is, these boots are cheap as well. I'm telling you, this boot is 65, I think, chaos. Even after rolling for stuff and crafting, maybe about 80 chaos. It's like super cheap. So the reason why I haven't decided to like roll the 5% action speed is like if the boots are these cheap, I'd rather buy better boots and then roll on that. So that's probably like something in the works for me. But the chance to avoid bleeding and the chance to avoid shock is great because you're using Abyss Jewels to actually get chance to bleed and a chance to avoid bleed and chance to avoid shock. And if you can get these two rolls, you basically can then swap out the rolls on your Abyss Jewels for like damage. So that's the reason why I've gone like for these. Uh, But yeah, probably this is like the next item for me to upgrade. And that's it. So let's talk about flasks. Right now, because of the petrified low life setup, I'm using Progenesis. I bought one that was pretty good stats. These are actually amazing stats, pretty cheap. So I don't think they're this cheap anymore. I'm not sure. Are they this cheap? I don't know. I have to check later. But before I ran Progenesis and I was just using a non-low life setup, I would actually run 2 life flasks because it may just, just in case, right? You have one flask that's instant and one flask that just has good recovery. And then the rest of the 3 flasks were the same, except that if I didn't have iron reflexes, I wouldn't have jade flask. If I didn't have grace and iron reflexes, I wouldn't have jade flask. So I ran something like a diamond here, just to get elemental overload off. And yeah, so you just want a quicksilver, you want a granite, and you want a jade or a diamond. You can even go a basalt if you want like more armor. All right, let's talk about skills. In this case, I'm kind of going a lot of auras because I am doing this setup. So let me just talk about my endgame setup. And so it will look like this, right? Determination, Defiance Banner, Hatred, Petrified Blood, Grace, Precision, Herald of Ice, multiple totems, Phantasmal Ancestral Protector, Ancestral War Chief, Berserk, Leap Slam, Blood and Sand, and Molten Shell. Okay, the thing about Blood and Sand, I mean, I've been trying to figure this out, but at the end of the day, I just trust whatever was on the GGG forums or what marks it. But when you have melee splash to do splash damage to running targets, that has an area of effect. So that area effect on that splash is going to be affected by Blood and Sand. So if you can afford the reservation for it, it does give you 16% more area damage, and that seems pretty substantial. So that's the only reason why I'm using that. Then it comes to boots, or rather when it comes to your last 4 link, Arcanist Brand, Elemental Weakness, Hydrosphere, and Poacher's Mark. You will notice on my gloves I have a fire exposure because my Hydrosphere applies for cold exposure. So I don't need cold exposure anymore, so I just get fire exposure for the fire damage coming from Heat Shaver. Yeah, that's kind of go through the passive 3. So you're pathing here, you're mostly getting a lot of life nodes. In my case, I'm going accuracy. So I have accuracy here. This is also very good because it gives you dexterity and intelligence, which you need for your gems. You path here, you're getting a shit ton of sockets. So like you even notice the amount of sockets I have. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have literally have 10 Abyss Jewels worth of sockets. Right? Because all those Abyss Jewels, the flat damage is gonna get doubled by Frost Breath. And yeah, and it's also how I get like my immunities. I'm also going for reservation because the reservation here is being used for all the auras. You can probably drop some reservation nodes if you don't have that many auras. Yeah. For cluster jewels, you want Calamitous, Feed the Fury, and Martial Prowess. This puts Feed the Fury and Martial Prowess at the front. I can also spec the Calamity if I need to. That gives me a chance to free shock and ignite. And then here as well, I have Calamitous. Same thing, except it's Fuel the Fight instead of Feed the Fury. I path here because the nodes here are efficient. This gives me a chance to free shock ignite, elemental resistance, and elemental damage. And then it gives me actually. Oh yeah, no. I need the 10%. Otherwise I would just path this way. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, the life nodes here are nice. I've gone for this because of the attack speed, the intelligence and strength, and the damage. It's not too bad really. And then yeah, I can probably optimize this further. So above here, you want accuracy, elemental damage, and then the pen node. Another last jewel socket here. Sadist Blast Freeze. Blast Freeze is great for clear, for quality of life. Disoriented play is not being used, it's at the very back. And so you path here and get elemental overload. Alright. What else is there? Nothing much, I think. Gameplay is pretty straightforward. Alright. Maybe I'll do a map. I'm a little tired though. I just leveled out, whatever. If I die, I die. Do a grotto. Less recovery rate. Could do that. It's just painful. Cannot leech. I'm too lazy. The only way to do cannot leech is that you have to run a mana flask, which I don't want to do. What am I gonna do next? Oh yeah, I'm gonna clear this and then my Atlas 3 is spec for expeditions, for some abyss, and a little bit of delirium. Oh yeah, and delve. Yeah, these guys get really scary with extra projectiles and like core convert. Oh, physics extra core. So I gotta be a bit careful because they're gonna start spawning around the map and they can literally off-screen you. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. Wait, hold up. Scarab's drop, can chance to duplicate it. Okay, expedition logbooks. What I want. Oh shit, 2 expedition logbooks. Okay, 1 here. Yes. There's 2 here though. There's 2 there and there's 2 here. Whatever, I'll just do it this way. Okay. I'm not popping my Berserker yet, I don't think I need it. Maybe I pop it here. Imagine getting two logbook notes and neither of them popping up. Sedge. I got my hopes up there for a while. The mouth. Ouch. Okay, that's all there is to it. I'm gonna stop the video. Hope you enjoy the build and have fun scaling Glacial Hammer. But that's pretty much all there is to it for me. I will probably keep playing this for fun and then maybe think about a second build. We'll see how. I think I've got a lot of build ideas bouncing around my head, and I have got the currency for it. So I was thinking of doing like something like Mahuzeltl's Machination, which is the shield. I just bought it because it looked really cheap. Um, yeah, I'm thinking of doing a build around this, and then I also have like a Voltaxic, I think. Yeah, I found a Voltaxic Rift of Gwenin, so I'm thinking of looking at a build that does that too. Uses that. All right, peace. Hope to see you guys around. Bye.